has a lot of great qualities. There's the challenging gameplay, the immersive story, the great community. But I think we all really started playing for about the same reason.
The wives.
We did a search on YouTube together for waifu tier list, and I didn't actually bother to count, there are so many videos. We all care so much about these wives. And we'd all like to kiss them a whole lot, but there's more to it than that.
For example, whether they should kiss each other. Hi, we're lesbians, and we're
Hi.
here to give you the lesbian perspective on lesbians, because that's what this game is about. Not all you like, but we know the truth. Harold, they're lesbians. And who better to talk about wives than literal IRL wives?
We were going to do our own waifu tier ranking, like this. You can see it's got both wives and daughters, which I think is a neglected area. But then we realized that it was going to get really crowded up in the wife/would die for her corner, and also the daughter/would die for her corner. So instead, we figured we'd talk about the wives who, like we said, definitely are already kissing each other. So let's get started.
First and foremost, we should start with the really iconic Ceylon and Schwarz, who you all remember from Obsidian Festival.
They try to play it off in-game, like, oh, they grew up as sisters, but it quickly becomes clear that there's a lot more going on here, and sisters is just kind of, well, they did grow up together, but,
The childhood friend romance is classic, and so is the bodyguard romance.
And also, you don't really keep, like, a cute doll version of your quote-unquote sister in your room while you lounge in your sexy reindeer lingerie.
You just don't.
There's also a lot of lines in the tech. If you look at Ceylon's Trust 200 file, sorry, spoilers, but we've got the reason why Schwarz's presence is not mentioned in Ceylon's file is the same reason Ceylon was not mentioned in Schwarz's. The reason is very simple, and that's because it's simply not necessary. Words cannot be used to sufficiently describe the depth of feeling they have for one another. It ends on the note, this could be described as a profound mutual affection, with emphasis put on profound.
They're married.
They're just married. Every element of their lives is committed to the other. I don't even know why we're bothering to, like, really try to sell this to you guys. It's practically mimetic even in the community. They're lesbians.
They're lesbians. Anyway, next up, Shining and Neural.
They talk about each other constantly, and unlike Ceylon and Schwarz, where it's kind of this unspoken thing, where you don't even need to say it because it's just true.
And because they dedicated an entire event to it.
Also that, with Shining and Neural, they are so excited to talk about each other. It's like the first trust increase with Shining that she'll already start telling you about what's the first thing you need to know about me, and the first thing you need to know about me is how great Neural is and how much I like her.
And to quote Neural, Shining too is a beam of light that guides me forward. She carries the hope that I've always been seeking. Take it from us lesbians, that's gay.
That's gay. You also get, and this could be ascribed to a couple different things, this Shining line. We actually want to do a Shining lore video later, but for now, Shining talks about how once upon a time I dedicated my life to following someone who shone so brightly in my eyes. A conspiracy took that person away from me, but this time, I'll make sure my light source continues to shine on forevermore, even if I die. We already know from her other lines just how important Neural is to her. And we already know from Neural that her and light are very symbolically entwined. There are other things that this could refer to, like I said, but Neural is honestly the safest bet, and Shining just said she would literally die for this woman. They're in love. They're in love.
I'm pretty sure there's also I think it's like Neural's trust increase last file, which is Shining writing, talking about how she hopes that she and also Nightingale/Liz are there for her when Neural needs them, which I feel like is solid OT3 potential.
Yeah, definitely. But it's Shining and Neural, I think, who really have something together, and Nightingale, I think, is a little bit too lost in her own head to quite fully be on the same level with them, but they're each other's protectors. Like I said, we're gonna do a Shining video later. We're excited for that one. But for now, I think that covers Shining and Neural.
Now, next up, let's talk about Scavenger.
You'll notice that Scavenger, we don't have an other half of this pairing, but that's because in order to make the case to you that Scavenger is a lesbian, we don't actually need one. We just have that from her archive file.
Scavenger once loved a young woman from her own tribe who reciprocated her feelings. For whatever reason, they did not express their feelings to one another until Scavenger became infected and was banished from her tribe. The next time Scavenger was able to meet the young lady, she had already passed away, and with her the knowledge of their forbidden love. This memory is a keepsake that Scavenger will forever hold close to her heart.
What else do we even need to tell you all? I mean, the other thing we can tell you all is that she has a massive crush on Provence. Yes, everyone wants to fluff the tail. We all want to fluff the tail.
Yeah, but Scavenger also has a tragic dead girlfriend.
Scavenger not only has a tragic dead girlfriend, but in addition to talking about how wonderful Provence's tale is, her archive file mentions that she seems to want something a little bit more.
That's gay.
That's gay. Next up, we have Tomimi, who also, like Ceylon and Schwarz, has an entire event about how gay she is. Like, you all read the Gavial event story, right? Of course, unfortunately for Tomimi, we don't really think she has a shot with Gavial. It's pretty clear from that Gavial thinks of her as more like a kid sister, someone whose hair you ruffle. But it doesn't change the fact that she is obsessed with Gavial.
And getting her moves from romance novels.
Yeah. I mean, you're the one who reads romance novels, not me, so that to be a little more specific.
Well, I mean, in the last part of the story, she's like, yeah, I read all these romance novels, and this is what it said to do.
Oh, yeah, that's true. You shouldn't use romance novel moves. I could just end the sentence there. Don't use romance novel moves. But you definitely shouldn't use romance novel moves on someone that you want to be just friends with.
Yes. You probably, either way, should not shoot down their plane.
Yeah, don't do that. Take it from us. The way to a girl's heart is not shooting down her plane with a rocket launcher.
We don't recommend it.
We don't recommend it. Anyway, next we've got Franca and Liskarm. So, actually, I don't really think that they're specifically dating.
Like, they did definitely hook up at the Black Steel holiday party.
Yeah, so these two, they've got that sort of casual vitriol where, like, I can insult you, but somehow we're still best friends. Yeah, these are women who got drunk and they hooked up.
Sometimes you are gal pals who also make out.
Yeah, and that's allowed. So, next subject, because obviously that takes no further investigation. Okay, so the next one I know is really special to you because they're your favorite and Chen's your wife.
They are my favorite and Chen is my wife. But also, she's Hoshiguma's wife.
She's also Hoshiguma's wife. And we know what you're thinking. You know, this is more of like a buddy cop situation. They have each other's back, and you're not wrong that they are extremely close friends. But there's this intensity between them and also this rawness between them where Chen lets herself fuck up around Hoshiguma. She lets herself not be so perfect. Like, you want to talk about your favorite scene?
Yeah, the part where she's willing to talk about her ideals and her optimism even while she's trying to be a really intense pragmatist. And also literally says fuck.
Let Chen say fuck.
Let Chen say fuck.
It's this kind of, these really emotionally vulnerable scenes between them that have this emotional intensity that Chen doesn't allow herself, or up until this point in the story hasn't been allowing herself. And you just gotta ask yourself at that point, if one of Chen and Hoshiguma were a guy in this, you know, the Lungmen PD police procedural show, sort of like a Law and Order situation, chung chung, you know that it would be like
that
the thing of the show. Like, when are they going to get together? Like the pair in Law and Order SVU, where that was like a big thing.
And also, I think it bears saying that a lot of buddy cop relationships, just in general, are pretty romantic.
Yes, homoerotic, as the kids say.
Even if you don't want to admit it, they're pretty homoerotic.
So yeah, there's definitely going to be more to this story as the Arknight story continues, but for now we'll leave it at that this is prime relationship material, and they've definitely got feelings for each other.
We love to see it.
We love to see it. Alright, let's do another of our favorite lesbians who've probably cursed each other out.
So let's talk about Saria and Silence.
Ifrit's got two mommies.
And they are ex-wives.
They sure are. So, this is a family. We've got Silence Token. She gives out her own feathers. And if you look, we can do a zoom in on Ifrit's necklace and Saria's belt. This is a very well-documented relationship in Arknight's fandom. The level of betrayal that Silence feels towards Saria is not something that you direct towards a coworker.
They're very divorced.
They're extremely divorced.
The only more divorced couple in Arknights is the Doctor and Kal'tsit.
Womp womp. But anyway, let's talk about Texas and her harem. Starting with everyone's favorite, totally a really for real wolf girl, Sora.
So there are many people obsessed with Texas, and Sora is one of them. She mentions Texas constantly in all her voice lines. She just really wants to talk about Texas, and whether Texas saw her being cool,
whether she'll get to go on operations with Texas.
She just really likes Texas. Texas saved her life and is now sustaining her life. And honestly, so maybe Lupo are really popular right now, and that's why she illusions herself into one. But also, take it from us, it's lesbian culture to emulate a girl you don't entirely realize you're in love with.
It really is.
It really is.
And also just, she gets jealous when Exusiai goes on a mission with Texas. It's in one of her trust increase lines. Exusiai went on a mission with Texas today, right? If only I were as skilled as Exusiai, I could. So yeah, you know, she's got some dokies. They're big dokies, multiple dokies. But not as many dokies as everyone's favorite actual wolf girl, Lap.
So Lapland has a well-documented obsession with Texas.
You may have heard of it. You may have heard her mention Texas just like occasionally in a casual kind of way. The question is, of course, is this a romantic obsession? And does Texas reciprocate? Obviously, she doesn't reciprocate the wanting to be by her side element, but there's some pretty solid evidence that, look, they're gay. They're gay. They're lesbians.
They're lesbians.
We can look at the buff, or rather sort of buff debuff, that Texas gets when Lapland's together with her. Lapland is someone who gets under Texas's skin.
And Texas, as someone who identifies as tired, doesn't really seem to let much get under her skin.
She is a champion of seeming unbothered by things. The chemistry between her and Lapland is a very real thing. It's just not healthy chemistry, but hey, sometimes you really love a bad romance. The thing is, Texas just attracts lesbians. She's got Exusii, she's got Sora, she's got Texas.
More on Exusii later.
More on Exusii in a bit, because Exusii might be taken, but you can say that Texas doesn't really return their feelings in the same way, that she would just like to not feel things at all. The fact of the matter is that Texas is surrounded by women who feel a deep emotional connection to her, and whether or not she wants to admit it, they have a meaningful impact on her life and on how she feels when she's around them.
Whether it's feeling calmed down by Exusii, or just constantly getting into fights with Lapland, or I listen to Sora's music while I'm driving.
When all the major emotional beats in your life revolve around women, consider
you're a lesbian.
Or you just have really good taste, I guess.
So speaking of Exusii.
And Penguin Logistics, we've got apple pie and blueberry pie.
So Exusii and Mastema, they clearly have a documented relationship going back a ways, although the actual details of that relationship are kind of a mystery. A lot of things are a mystery to everyone except for Mastema, who is not telling shit to anyone.
Mastema laughs in the face of our wanting to know facts about anything.
I love her.
And you're a lesbian, so therefore.
Yeah.
The Code of Brawl event is really what puts the relationship center stage.
Mastema seems to be trying to avoid Exusii, in fact, but it seems to be more based in not wanting to unpack all her baggage.
Kind of like how Lapland has a lot of baggage for Texas. It's clear that Mastema knows Exusii is someone who is gonna get to her.
And also, I think it's worth noting that voice line that Exusii has had since the beginning of game, in fact, is, if you ever run into an angel with black horns oozing ominous vibes, please tell her from me, I've never forgotten her.
That is so romantic. It's romantic.
That's romantic. Also ominous vibes.
I mean, she's not wrong.
She's not wrong.
We'll do another video on just what is a Sancta anyway.
We just don't know.
We just don't know.
But now, let us go on to...
We saved the best for last.
And the best is...
Da-da-da-da.
W. Or rather, the worst. She's
W
the best
stands
and the
for
worst. So you ever been so gay for the true king of Kazdal that you're still loyal to her organization years after it's been disbanded?
You ever been so gay for the true king of Kazdal that your entire life is singularly focused on vengeance against everyone involved in her death?
So anyway, that's W. She's a lesbian.
She's a lesbian. These other people on the list, they very clearly have other things they care about that are important to them, even if they have these intense connections with women. W, she cares about one thing, and that is Teresa.
And you could say, well, aren't all Sarkaz just a little bit gay for Teresa? But the thing is, other Sarkaz, even ones who previously worked for Babel, have given up on that cause or have moved on to other things, and some of them even work for the opposition or have just generally gone on to care about things that are not Teresa. And that is not true of W, even 3 years after her death.
W is different, and the connection that she felt with Teresa has been notable from the start of their interaction in Dark Knight's memoir. The history that W has with Teresa is tragic and beautiful and deeply core to her entire identity, up to and including the fact that the idea of taking a name that isn't a name that Teresa gave her is something she could just never do. We really hope that we'll get to see more of W's story and that she'll eventually find the catharsis she needs. But for now, sometimes the best romances are tragic ones, and sometimes the very best lesbians have rocket launchers.
So that's our list, and we hope you enjoyed listening to us talk about the various lesbians of Arknights. If we missed your favorite lesbian, or even your favorite lesbian pairing, let us know in the comments.
Because we love talking about lesbians. We look forward to hopefully making more videos for you guys. Give us a like if you want more Arknights lesbian content of any variety, and we'll see you next time.